ladies and gentlemen. Welcome tonight to Global Impact. I'm David McQuell. On this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday evening, I hope that you are doing well where you are. I hope also that you are finding some confidence in life. I know that there are lots of challenges and difficulties that make it almost impossible to have confidence. But for those of us who are in Christ, we have every reason to be confident, because the Bible says no matter what troubles are in this world, Jesus said, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. So be encouraged and be steadfast in hope. I believe that God is at work in your life and things are going to be better. So welcome to the show tonight. This is Global Impact and I am David McQuell. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. Those of you, especially those who have been our constant viewers, we really appreciate you. We know really well every time we come on air that you are watching, and that's really, really encouraging to us. That really strengthens us. Thank you so very much for your faithfulness. We do our best to bring in great content, and of course, we are developing show. So you will realize that we will keep improving and improving. But that's the reason why we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you feel, what you think about us. Do you appreciate what we said? Is there anything you disagree with? Do you criticize anything we do? I mean, we'd really love to hear from you, because the feedback is what really makes us better, So let me not forget those who have been writing and sharing their views with us. We really appreciate you. Thank you so very much. We bless God and we are doing our best, and we know things will get better.
Hello everyone, this is Global Impact with David McQuell, your host. Isaiah chapter 2 verses 1 to 5 says that a time is coming when the church will rise in authority and influence and dominate the earth. And many nations will come and say, teach us the ways of the Lord. Global Impact is a show that inspires you as a Christian to rise up through the values of the kingdom of God and shine as light wherever you may be. We believe that missions is no longer limited to some isolated, unreached community in some dark continent. The church should reach out to all aspects of life, including politics, business, science and research, the media and diplomacy, and every aspect of human life. Join us on Global Impact, Monday through Friday, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. GMT. Global Impact is broadcast on tecntv.com. Join us.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much for tuning in. So we've been, throughout this week, we are looking at and around the world. We are looking around the world. I love that. We are looking around the world in 5 days and looking at what's going on, what's new, what's of course, everyone is aware. I mean, to some extent, most people are aware of the war going on with Russia and Ukraine. It's no longer news. It's exactly what's going on, and a lot of people have opinions about it. On both sides. Some people are pro-Russian, some people are pro-Ukrainian. But again, like I said, we have a middle ground where we are concerned about citizens, about private citizens, about individuals, the weak, women, children, pregnant women, the sick, and that's where our concern is. As for the politicians, we have no trust in any of them. So we will be again looking at the news channels that I have been talking about, that have been really our reliable source of information, which is the Amir Safati channel on Telegram and NTD. And today I found another channel that gives me, kind of headlines on Africa, and African headlines. I love it, and, kind of blend it together. And it gives me, probably, I love the way, also, I love to hear how people from Africa think about what's going on out there in the world, it gives me great understanding also, as I work in Africa, about the people that I live with and the people that I serve and my people, actually. So today again, we're not going to waste any time. Of course, we're going to delve back into the same situation, which is the war in Russia. And yesterday we basically looked a lot on basically we spent a lot of time on the Amir Tsarfati channel, and we couldn't go to NTD. But I will, kind of put the two of them together, plus the new channel I have gotten, and I will get out some information that will really will need to hear. Apart from the fact, okay, I explained yesterday that NTD is actually the sister company of Epoch Times. If you live in the United States, or if you online really look for independent news, you must have heard, or if you haven't heard, then you better look for Epoch Times, because that's probably, apart from New York Post, that's Epoch Times. In fact, Epoch Times is becoming the standard now. And so really appreciate, I really appreciate what they are doing. Lots of people appreciate what Epoch Times are doing. So NTD is a sister company of Epoch Times. And so we really find it very reliable. Now, apart from of course, the war in, apart from the war in Ukraine, I mean, COVID has been gradually making some headlines again. Again, also China. You remember China also is still on standby, observing and trying to learn. The ways of Russia and Ukraine in their own anticipation of one day reclaiming, or rather claiming. They call it reclaiming, but it's actually claiming Taiwan. And so, and again, some national news. But I like to first of all go back to the issue of Russia. Again, the headlines in the last 2 days is the fact that Russia is now threatening to attack Poland next, because of their cooperation, the concern. Poland has been really concerned about what's going on in Ukraine, because they are basically sharing border with Russia. And if Ukraine can be destroyed, then they have fears, they have great fears. And they are closer to Europe in relationship than Ukraine is. And if they are closer, then you know how it's going to be. But Russia has threatened, that they might attack Poland next. In fact, one of the interviews, I believe, a day or two ago, one of the Russian officials was saying that Poland and other Eastern European countries have been behaving badly, arrogantly and badly, that they have to take care of them. Many people and many analysts took it to mean that it is a significant sign that Russia is going to attack Poland next. So it's really a great fear. That brings a lot of doubt on the idea that Russia really didn't want to destroy Ukraine. They just wanted to clean up the biolabs that were there and clean up the neo-Nazis. So while if you took that argument at its face value, you begin to ask questions now. What's going on? I mean, if Russia was attacking Ukraine because of neo-Nazis and because of the bioweapons that are there and all the corrupt European politicians who are doing business there. So what's going on? Why is why is Russia now attempting to attack Poland and other countries around there? And then another update that came out also is that Russia now, in its fight back, in order to fight back for its economy, is now demanding that countries that buy oil from Russia have to pay in rubles, in Russian rubles, because before the exchange was in US dollars. So now they want to ask that anyone who's going to buy oil from Russia, anyone who's going to buy gas, or any petroleum product, has to buy it in rubles. That's really going to be challenging. Really, that's really absolutely going to be challenging if they're going to carry that out. It's going to absolutely be challenging. So anyway, let's look at how things are going to play out, and I will be right back after this break.
David McQuell on
Global
Impact at TC. Oh my word! On Global Impact at TECN with David McQuell on Global Impact ECNTV.com.
Yeah.
And with David McQuell on Global Impact at TECNTV.com.
TECNTV.com.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back from the break. Thank you so very much for being there, hanging in there. Well, so another news that is making, coming out, in China. Really sorry. I think it was yesterday that there was one commercial jet, crashed with 132 people on board. Oh, that was really, 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 really painful, and really feel sad for the passengers. I don't think they were survivors. I've not been able to follow up the story because the plane was badly damaged. So really, I think that I'll check that out quickly when we go on the next break. I'll check that out and see what's the progress on that. But again, it's been a while that we have had of plane crashes, which means that airlines are basically really taking security seriously, the security of lives on their planes seriously. And so I saw another headlines about China that last month China bought twice the quantity of natural gas that they buy from Russia. I believe that this was mainly political. They were trying to encourage the Russians that way. If those countries are cutting you off, will buy oil from you. I think trying to encourage Russia. But again, yeah, so it's kind of the enemy of your enemy is my friend. So that's the deal. That's what they are doing. But basically, you can see that I don't know how it's going to work, but the cutting off, the boycotting of Russian oil may not immediately affect Russia, honestly, because they have stack of cash out there, and they still have people who are buying oil from them, and so. I don't know how it's going to affect them. Maybe later, maybe not. But I tell you that my fear is that if it affects Russia immediately, very, very badly, and then it will actually make Putin madder rather than, soft. So if he gets more angry, the war will get more violent and probably end up in a nuclear war. We might be having a third world war before us. And so that is, God forbid. That's really unfortunate. Again, I also saw the headlines that Biden, is in Europe, I believe, for the G20 summit. Or there's something about that. And the Europeans, it's pretty interesting. We're going to see how this is going to work out. The Europeans are planning on asking the U.S. government to supply them with natural gas. And well, since the focal point of the Biden administration and the Democrats and their radical activists, environmental activists, was to shut down any form of oil production in the United States and force the country to switch to electric vehicles, which is absurd, you know, which is truly absurd. It's never been tried anywhere. I thought that, you know, you would think that if the United States wants to switch to clean energy, as they are saying, that it's going to be subtly, gently, gradually, and then they could begin by trying smaller cities and trying to see how it's going to work. Take one city as a pilot program and start with that city to try to, you know, kind of outlaw the conventional cars and replace them gradually with electric cars and see how it's going to work. Shouldn't that be really the wisdom? I mean, if they really mean what they are going to do, I believe that electric cars, electric energy for cars it's going to be more expensive and more damaging than fossil oil. I also believe that it's not going to work. It will have great problems. But hey, I mean, that's my personal beliefs, you know. But if they are okay with it, but I think that even if I will, you know, kind of play the devil's advocate, I will say, well, okay, go ahead with it, but take a small town, probably a town of 2,000 people, and then try it out first. Install electric cars chargers, I mean, rechargers around, and then try it around and see how it works out before you even try to implement it in one state and see how it goes, before you think about a whole country. But you cannot cut off natural gas completely, you know, throw the whole nation in turmoil and then make the standard of living unbearable in the name of you want to translate to clean energy. Well, so but then we're going to see how it's going to play out. Europe is turning to America for natural gas. The Americans have a super abundant availability of good natural gas available, you know, super abundant that can supply Europe without any problem and the United States. However, it's been the focal point of the Biden administration to shut it down, shut everything down. We don't need oil, we need our environment, we're destroying the environment. You know, fine, okay, well, how are they going to do with Europe? You know, Biden is not someone who can say no because he doesn't have the ability to say no. He's not that bold and smart enough, you know, but let's see how it's going to work. Probably he will say no to Europe, or he will say, okay. You know, I won't be surprised if the Biden administration gives natural gas to Europe and denies Americans, because they have done everything to show that they don't love America. That is sad, but that's true. We've seen every kind of policy, destructive policy, to show that they don't care about the United States, they don't want the United States, and they don't care what happens to the United States at the expense of others. They are willing to defend the borders of Ukraine. They are willing to defend Iran, protect Iran, and help them at the expense of Americans. They are willing to take care of illegal aliens, open the border. Everybody from all over the world, come over. They are willing to open the borders, and then they are willing to give $450,000, let's say $500,000 to illegal immigrant families. Each illegal family, is this each family or a single person? $450,000. I see. And yet they want to give Americans $1,000, $300. You know, so how's that going to work out? Let's see how it's going to work out. Of course. Well, so I don't know how it's going to work. I'm really, really excited. I'm waiting to see how they're going to play that card out. You know, You know, and again, like I said yesterday, and I'm still saying again, I have not seen anything anywhere where anybody is trying to play the big brother, you know, kind of calming down nerves, you know, talking to the Russians, talking to the Europe, NATO, and coming like an in between. You know, you remember that kind of a thing when Kofi Annan was the United Nations Secretary General. You remember how he really was in Baghdad every 3 days, every 5 days, he will go back to New York, go back, fly to Baghdad, fly to Europe, fly everywhere to Egypt, and trying to calm everybody down. Come on, talking to the U.S. government, talking to the UK government, talking to the Arabs around, you know, traveling around and trying to make every effort to see if war will be avoided. In fact, I had a lot of time with Saddam Hussein trying to negotiate and see if there is some kind of an effort that Baghdad could do that would calm down the Americans and avoid the war. Hey, even the Taliban, when the United States were going to attack the Taliban in 2001, I remember 2003, I think 2003, when the United States was going to attack Afghanistan, a lot of negotiations. The United Nations Secretary General was flying up and down everywhere. He was in Moscow, he was in Germany, in England, he was in Paris, he was in Egypt, he was in everywhere, trying to calm down nerves, ask everyone to, hey, play a role. What do you think? Let's avoid the war. And the reason why he was doing that was because of the innocent who will be killed in the crossfires of war. Children, women, the disabled, sick, the pregnant, and men, and young men and women. And apart from that, the economic damage, the environmental damages of war. And he was trying to calm everybody down. You know, you could feel his effort. I mean, even if you didn't believe in Kofi Annan, you could see that he was doing something about it. But today we don't see anybody. We don't see any effort anywhere, anyone trying to come down. And my God, and I say we are talking about Third World War. Not Third World War only. We are talking about nuclear weapons. After the end of the Second World War, and the people that died, the United States alone lost 51,000 soldiers. 51,000 soldiers. And that's the smallest. How many did France lose? How many did England lose? You know, hundreds of thousands. At the end of the day, millions of people died. Millions of people died in Second World War. And everybody that looked at it after the war said, what have we done to ourselves? How did we ever get here? And you thought that those questions were bringing us to reason. You know, but again, that reveals to you the nature of man, the fallen nature of man. Man is a fallen being. Man is arrogant, he is egoist, man is brutal, he is proud, you know, and he's evil. And, you know, there's just no way that rational thinking can bring peace on earth. I keep saying the UN keep working hard trying to say we want to bring peace. The UN is far from being an agent of peace in any way, and there's no way man will bring peace for himself on earth. Only God can bring peace on earth. Only God can bring peace, because man does not know how to do it. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. You know, so it's incredible. And I wish that we could have someone who is going up and down, but the way it stands out now, everybody is basically just taking sides. Everybody is taking sides. Everyone is taking sides, you know. It's either you are with Russia or you are with Ukraine. And no one is standing in the middle and say, calm down. Let's rethink this thing. Because after a Third World War, nuclear war, I don't know. How many of you are sure you will be there alive? You will be there alive? How are you sure? You know, it's incredible. You know, it's incredible. And there's no corner of the earth you can be and say, well, I don't care because I'm not part of Europe. We're not part of Europe. We're not part of Russia. We're out here. You know how Second World War began. You know, Hitler invading countries and Japan attacking the US. You know, But we all know how it turned out. Things became terrible. And most nations rather, was drawn in and played a part in the war. We don't need that again. We certainly don't need that. We need peace, we need harmony, we need understanding, we need working together, we need temperance, we need patience, a lot of self-control, and things should be talked over. You know, one thing that I found out in my observation, I hope you did that, is that, you know, wealth in honor and position does not change a man. A man is a man. You know, and the same way children on the street could be fighting, jealous and angry with each other, it's the same way they do in the United Nations. It's the same way they do in the United Nations. It's the same way they do in every presidency, any place of authority, any place of where people in high standard, they still have their human failures. They still have their frailties. They still have jealousy and anger and pride and shame, you know, and selfishness and conspiracy and all sorts of things. You know. So I really trust God that you pray for the world. We need to pray for the world. We need to pray for peace. We need peace, I tell you, because it will never be the same again. I'll be right back.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Ken McClinton, the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I love this cat, the Exceptional Conservative Show cat, Jacob. We love you, and we want you to know we love the fact that you watch TECNTV.com. As chairman, founder, and president, we wish you much love and much affection. I love you. I love you.
Hey, this is Pastor Greg right here.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
Watching TECNTV.com live and enjoying. You should join me here on ChildrenGenerationRadio.com. And also my other favorite thing, ministering the gospel in India.
Hi, I'm Bob Record.
What happened to the church? To the living, powerful, transformative, nation-shaking Christianity?
What they're trying to do is completely demolish Western civilization and then to rebuild it in a just society.
How do you break down American Christianity?
I think the problem today in our culture is many of our words have been co-opted and stolen and dumbed down and reversed.
Social justice is sold as something that it isn't. Critical race theory is sold as something that it isn't.
Whiteness has caused blindness of heart. Whiteness has caused blindness of heart.
When you preach victimization, it always leads to vengeance and vice. Us against them, me against you, I want my pound of flesh.
American churches today are where the universities were 10 years ago. Pretty heavily Marxist. They're not quite there yet, but they're well on the way. Many of the seminaries and Bible colleges are definitely already there.
That message that they're going out and taking the world is not, you need to repent of your sin, receive Christ. Instead, the message that you actually have is they are under the weight of racism or sexism or homophobia and then we need to unify them together.
I'm gay, I'm 29, I'm a youth pastor in New Jersey.
I'm straight, and I'm also a youth pastor in New Jersey.
We're planning on sharing life together for the rest of our lives, which we're not totally sure what that looks like. Obviously, Nick is straight, and he does plan on getting married. When he has a wife one day, she'll make those decisions with us.
The future damage of what we're doing now is just going to be enormous.
The entire fabric of family, personal wealth, private property, all those things are out the door. And everything is the state. They believe the state is God.
They don't define justice the same way as the scripture.
Oh, no. It's going to be an equality, all right. And it's going to be a totalitarian Marxist justice.
All right, welcome back to the show. Here are some headlines around from the African news updates. First of all, let me check this headlines. Quick some updates here. Former Malian Prime Minister Soumaïlou Boubèye Maïga, 68, arrested over corruption allegations last year, died of an undisclosed illness at a hospital in Bamako on Monday. Oh my dear. Equeno, Google's undersea internet cable in Africa, which aims to connect Europe to Africa, was inaugurated on Friday, March 18 in Lomé by President Faure Gnassingbé. Okay, let's see how that turns out. Malawi, President Lazarus Chakwera has appointed 7 new judges of the High Court to deal with issues of case backlog delays. In Zambia, Zambia's 4th president, Rupaya Banda, who died on March 11, was laid to rest on Friday, a day after a state funeral in Lusaka. And in Tunisia, lastly, more than 1,000 protesters took part in demonstrations organized by citizens against coup movement in Tunisia's Independence Day on Sunday, March 20, in Tunis, against President Kais Saied, as his online poll for constitutional reform did not attract voters. Again, there are also some other headlines that I quickly want us to look at. Union workers of Chevron in California has been on strike since Monday. The high cost of living, rising high cost of living, unbelievable rising high cost of living in California, which by California standard is too high. I saw that gas is $7 per gallon. Unbelievable. I mean, just a year ago, barely a year ago, gas was $1.19 in some places. And suddenly gas has jumped up probably 8 times. Can you imagine that? To, that's 800%, to such an unbelievable amount right there. China, another headline, China seeks to win over Pacific Island nations and strategic locations that have landing strips, ports, and possibly missile sites. Tell you, China is still observing how they're going to do, Few residents returned to Fukushima town. You remember the fears of tsunami, kind of earthquake that might affect the Fukushima nuclear sites, nuclear plants, made people to flee. Again, China's virus policies hinder shop owners. China is fighting its worst COVID-19 outbreak since the early days of the pandemic. Tens of millions of people have been locked down, you know. So they are really taking stringent ways that is really affecting their people. And then host Bo Davidson reviewed Ukrainian anthem and used that as a springboard for special historical perspective of the conflict. The frame of mind we can have to be both compassionate for the affected by this crisis, will also being cerebral about as it is at stake in the long run. Okay, yeah. So finally, Alibaba scrambles to prop up tumbling share prices. Whoa. Okay. Alibaba's share prices. Oh my God. That's the nightmare of businesses. So, all right. So let's take this short break quickly.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thank you so very much. Well, back to Amir Tsarfati channel, which we have not looked at today. What's going on around the world? That's what we are looking at. 5 days around the world. Here we have it. Israel received the Tal Shamem platform developed by IMDO and U.S. Missile Defense Agency. You know, it's a new technology that will help really for the Israeli Air Force to even see into the sky, into their skies, their space, even more clearly than ever, you know, as they live in really a dangerous time facing the threat from Iran. Israel has to be really, really prepared in every possible way, and that's what they are exactly doing. So, the British Defense Ministry assesses the Russian troops likely conducting a period of reorganization before resuming large-scale offensive. Oh well, so of course, the Russians being totally unchallenged by the Ukrainians because they destroyed the Ukrainian Air Force and destroyed their ability to counterattack. So the Russians can afford to pause for a while, reorganize themselves, review their plans, and then it is really a pathetic situation. It is a bad situation, especially for Ukraine. It is truly bad, you know. So the Russians have all the time they want to have, you know. The only thing that's working against the Russians is the diplomatic front, which is really very hostile to them right now, and also the economic front, which is really very harsh. Westerners have been targeting anything that they know can bite with Putin. They've been, you know, targeting him. And honestly, at the end of the day, war is not a good thing, and everybody suffers from war. I don't care whether you win the battle or not. The war itself, you can lose it, and that's the really most important thing. Again, so the threat of bombing Poland, even on Russian television, they are discussing the possibility of bombing Poland. So here, Russia just said, if diplomats are expelled from Poland, then Poland should expect a payback. Already there are so many threats. They've been threatening Poland, invasion, you know, all this and that. So basically everybody will assume that that's what they're talking about. Poland has identified 45 Russian intelligence officers using diplomatic status as a cover to stay in the country. Authorities are urgently trying to expel them, saying they are a danger to Poland's security. Of course, that's going to happen. Of course, all diplomatic all diplomatic houses are partly spy espionage, actually. I mean, there's just no way you can avoid that, you know. But so countries use that as a kind of tit and tat, you know, kind of fight each other by expelling. But Russia is really not taking this thing lightly, because if they are in fact, yesterday I saw a report where so chilling threats issued on Russian TV. Countries like the Baltic states and Poland are behaving too badly, too boldly, and we can take care of them like we did Ukraine. So you can see what it is. Yesterday also, Poland was suggesting that the G20 should expel Russia from there as a kind of a punishment. Now, that really sounds ridiculous. I thought that they should say suspend them, but if you say expel them, then I mean, that's really crazy, you know, doesn't make sense. So I read yesterday in a case where Russian-Polish embassies were burning documents in embassy in anticipation that there might be a withdrawal from the embassy, like they did in Ukraine, kind of burn all documents so that the Ukrainians will not go in and find something, some intelligence, you know, classified documents. So now, so that's really the leading headline on Amir Tsarfati. Basically, again, people need to understand this. This is a proxy war, partly really a proxy war. The war is not really about Ukraine or Poland. It is a battle between the West and Russia. Russia feels really threatened. They feel that the West is trying to encroach and take over and invade them one day. You know, just get a madman one day, he will invade Russia. If all the countries around join NATO and build a great platform, then which means that in NATO, if one country attacks Russia, then other countries will join, and every other country around Russia that has diplomacy with NATO becomes a launching path, you know, for the attack against Russia, and that's really terrible, you know. So that's really the concern of Russia. I hope that it won't get to that. I really, really pray that it won't get to that. In fact, I'm really praying against this war. I'm praying that everything will come to an end. I'm praying that they will find amicable peace settlement. I'm praying that the talks for peace between Russia and Ukraine will yield the fruit, because I really, I mean, if this war escalates, we will not be here really to say what's happening. So that's really important, really important. Again, President Putin's spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, was interviewed by CNN, and he was among one of the things that, you know, CNN tried to get was, hey, guy, can you assure us that Russia will not use nuclear weapons? And the guy would not just answer. You know, he treated the fact that he reiterated the fact that they will use them under existential threat. In other words, if we feel really our existence is threatened, if we feel that it is a fight for our survival, then we will not have any option but to use nuclear weapons. Of course, if I don't know if truly it will have to be that, or that Russia, if they feel that they are being cheated, they will use nuclear weapons anytime. You can't count on any assurances anywhere, you know. So that's exactly what it is. So I'll be right back. You know, I'll be right back after this break.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
During the gospel in India.
Hi, I'm Bob Record, and as you can see, I love hunting. And I also love watching TECNTV.com. Why don't you join me in doing that? But in the meantime, I'm headed back to the field. See you later.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Jones from Beyond the Lines. And when I'm not exploring Los Angeles, I am watching TECNTV.com. TECNTV.com. I love it.
I'm David McQuell. I'm the host of Global Impact on TECN. I'm a missionary in Abidjan, West Africa, working on establishing the largest history center. Whether I'm in the field or I'm working on history, I love TECN TV.
When I'm not making delicious cookies, I'm watching TECNTV.com.
Hi, I'm Randy, and I love the golf.
And I love TECNTV.com.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Quickly, we want to look at what is Joe Biden offering the Iranians. This is another potential big conflict that many people are not looking at. I mean, people are calm as if as if nothing is happening, but those who know what's happening are really alarmed. Here is an assessment by a Democrat. I mean, this is not a Republican. This is a Democrat who is a Democratic, I think a representative, Josh Gotema, Democrat, New Jersey. And he's a House Democrat calls out Biden admin over potential Iran deal. He says it does not make any sense. It makes zero sense, precisely his words. Biden is considering, for example, removing the Iran's IRGC, the Republican Guard, the Iran's Republican Guard Corps, from terror list. That's really crazy. These are really the crazy people planning what's going on in Yemen. And the attacks on Qatar, on UAE, the attacks on Israel, the funding of and the arming of Hezbollah, and the support of other radical groups against Israel. That's the reason why the IRGC was put in the list of terrorist organizations. And the Biden administration is offering to lift up that ban, which means that every other thing they do, any activity of terrorism, is going to basically be legitimately state business. And then how do you ever confront them if the United States government accepts what they do? So Representative Josh told Fox News on Tuesday that the White House weighing to remove the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps from the terror list makes no sense. He said he warned the Iranians will use billions fit up in a potential new Iran deal to fund terror through their proxy groups, Hamas and Hezbollah. Exactly, you see that? Hamas and Hezbollah are their proxies. They are their arm, the long arm of Iran. So if they are giving billions, I mean, just look at how many billions of dollars Obama gave them, and look at what they were able to do all this while. So if you give it to them, what is going to happen? He said, my biggest concern is giving billions and billions of dollars, allowing the Iranians to suddenly sell all this oil and have money to fund terror. Whether that's through the IRGC or through all their proxies that we know they fund whether that's Hezbollah, Hamas, Palestinian, Jihad, these are all forces in the region that have shown time and time again that they want to kill Americans, they want to attack our base, they want to attack our allies. So the idea that suddenly unleash all these resources, remove sanctions on the clear terror sympathizing country, that just makes zero sense. Makes zero sense, absolutely. So, I like the comment someone made. He said nothing Biden does makes sense. Whether it's a withdrawal from Afghanistan, you know, I mean, everything does not make sense. Or the open southern border in the United States doesn't make sense. Or the destruction of the U.S. economy, the reversing of many amazing Trump policies. For example, reversing the funding of HBCUs. It's just crazy. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. You know, why on earth? You know, I tell you, if that's fun, you can understand why Israel is very upset and why Israel is going to fight this and fight it, because it's a fight for their survival. That's what it is. Because you're going to see rockets raining down like hell. I mean, like rain from the skies against Israel, and you see drones. You know, you see all kinds of attacks. I believe that probably that's the plan of the Iranian regime. But the Iranians themselves absolutely are different. They don't want all this, you know. So it's really crazy, you know. And I don't just understand what is in the mind of the Biden administration. Not only are they doing that, they are doing it at the expense of their relationships in the Middle East. They are ignoring Israel, ignoring Egypt, ignoring Jordan, ignoring the UAE, ignoring Saudi Arabia, ignoring all of them, and going all the way to satisfy Iran, give Iran what Iran wants. And I tell you, this is like preparing for disaster. In fact, there should be a stronger word than that. This is like planning, you know, trying to bring calamity on the Middle East. You know, and it will be terrible. It will be terrible. I don't know how this can be sorted out, but honestly, and believe me, this is absolutely rubbish. So I think that it is very important for the U.S. Senate to stand against this, to oppose this. But again, you see, Biden is going to do exactly what Obama did. They're going to wait in the middle of the night. They're going to load up cash in planes and send them to Iran. I mean, who's going to do what? Except when if the Republicans take both houses of Congress in November, then you're going to see some accountability. You're going to see a reversing of a lot of things. But until then, Biden is rushing fast, rushing to destroy what he can destroy and harm what he can harm. Dreams are potential seeds. They need someone to believe in them. They need someone to finance them. And they need someone to embrace them. Partner today with the World Mission Center, Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, and help us win Africa for Christ.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
Thank you so very much. Really appreciate you tonight. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you so real good. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your criticisms. We appreciate your affection and care for us. God bless you. Help us tell someone about Global Impact on TECNTV.com. We are signing off, but TECN TV goes on. Great shows ahead. Don't miss any of them. God bless you. Thank you.